well, Ned.
How much dollar Irish? And cost you. They're going to get technically money done.
Call me the show in just a lad.
Hey. Tugger and call you millet the board of a glish in the sassny fui. The order duck a dumb can ain rudder inch of the lads for an area mach no gadagan and law.
Well, by Isaac a mag will rudder keen bonakin.
She need no hard the heart hot tugger doing a fierce.
Master will chance a behagen.
Jowl chance is stocha. Because fair doing ein of a sit on shot of fanac my jerilish and jowl cugger show. Scavillan and Tarmis and UVF or Sorella Ration and Cheer. Sure. Right much. I said dominant of 4 of them way nacht.
Thomas and Nairi mach machine.
We lost so many fine men in Ireland. Men who were meant to fight and perhaps die in France. None of them expected to end their lives fighting on the streets of Dublin.
Over 6 days in April 1916, Dublin was gripped by a rebellion that left the city in ruins and hundreds dead. These 6 days changed Ireland and the British Empire forever. The Easter Rising is shrouded in myths and legends. But the reality for those engulfed in the fighting was very different.
Open up in the name of the King!
This is a story of ordinary people who were part of extraordinary events beyond their control. It is a tale of 2 key battles fought on either side of Dublin City that Easter week, told through the eyes of soldiers from both sides of the conflict. All events portrayed in this film are from first-hand accounts of those caught up in the Rising. On the Easter weekend of 1916, Dublin was a haven of peace and tranquility. It was a modern city of the British Empire and the commercial capital of Ireland. That Easter Monday, the people of the city, soldiers and civilians alike, took an opportunity to enjoy themselves at the Fairy House races.
Ireland was generally at peace in 1916. There hadn't been any serious trouble for many, many years. You could hardly blame the British for not thinking that Ireland was going to be a problem, given that Home Rule had been parked, the Ulster volunteers were fighting in France, and Redmond's men were there too.
150,000 men from the island of Ireland were fighting in the British Army. The war had taken its toll on Irish soldiers fighting at the front. In spite of these casualties, support for Britain and the war effort was still strong.
When we look back historically at those that served, there was for a while a tendency certainly to look at those who served as having served the British and served under the King, whereas that wasn't really the viewpoint for a lot of soldiers at the time. There were certainly soldiers who were happy to serve for their King and country, but there were also a lot, particularly when you were talking about soldiers who came from the Home Rule's perspective, that saw that they were fighting as equals of England rather than for them.
In Dublin, militant Irish revolutionaries rejected this idea. They came together in the Irish Volunteers and saw the war as the perfect opportunity to strike at Britain.
Mi fiawr ni de cwig dig, toch Eamon Ned Daly, mar ciawn cahar yn Ced Cahlon. Dwrt Daly lum, gyda si chohoff uchchys de rwynda, de corla milita na hoglach, chan airi amach a flanol. Mar gyrmisha fi mar lascan fana, ba mis an tiendan a sgwylsi a rwn leis. You all right?
About a quarter of my company paraded, and I would say perhaps only 1/3 of those were aware they were going into action.
Gone. Na carry ordi a bhicnéil de hínalín. Ar nó an am can péir at atá déana dhéana. Come on, Riley. She's Ray. Okay, she's about Ray.
Right, people!
Don Cade Cahlon Eistigi Lum Nomid. At 12 o'clock today, the flag of the Irish Republic will be raised. No, I don't want any cheering. Our orders are to occupy and defend the area surrounding the forecourts. Communications between our other posts in the city will be precarious. But I want to make it clear that if any of you wish to leave now, then you are at liberty to do so.
I'm not having any of this. Is anyone with me? It's not right! It's not right!
Is that everyone? And I know most of you never expected to be marching out in open rebellion. But this is the day. This is the day we will restore some pride to this land. Can I relive? A finish? Forma!
Imagine Lewin the Koska, Nidig Shedig. Lobra Grania.
Right turn! Quick march! Left! Left!
Neremi Ibron.
Right!
The glúis slua da ara óga amachas hala crave colum killa. Fi gunna ag vorwar acu. Ach sais gunna. Gunna nua shan pistol kudaku. Fi der Marshal Dane chéim. Ach, ní ráidir ag goire go mairich, mar ba gnálo. Agus iad glúiseacht.
Ned Daly was tasked with taking over the area around the forecourts in Dublin's north side. All over the city, Irish volunteers captured and garrisoned key buildings. Among them were the General Post Office, South Dublin Union and City Hall. On the south side, rebels looked to seal off all main routes into Dublin. One of these was Mount Street Bridge.
From there, you can lay down infiltrate fire and any troops advancing towards the bridge, yeah? George, the Carcass Orlishin.
Ní hastíú mar chlá bháin an pistol a squeal.
George, Torlat Carfar agus Scout Clan William House. By Royal Clan agad ar móthar a sin. Seans go bin an banach I heochach trúpi na Bratany si Jane ver an gahar ó Hú in Kingston. Can we the stoppu an seo? Lads, how long? Seamus, took it to Hain Road, it's burn out Rumsa.
Left, right, left, right, left. Cavalry, ho! Into line, left, turn! Order, arms!
Very good, men, but not good enough. We need to be tighter in formation, rifles hard against the shoulder.
In 1916, myself and my good friend, William Hawkin, were commissioned to the Sherwood Foresters, stationed at Watford, and awaiting orders to France.
Sergeant Major, move the men off.
Company will move off to the left, turn. Quick march.
Dixon was a lovely man. He wanted to be a soldier from the time he was a boy. He loved marching. He loved dressing up in uniform. He was in the Boys' Brigade. He was a fine cricketer. He was working as a clerk in a solicitor's office down in Devon and bored stiff with wills and probate and conveyancing. He couldn't wait to get into uniform, and he couldn't wait to go to war. He was a bit of an anorak as a soldier, but he was a lovely man.
I had joined up in 1915 and had gone through basic training with lots of boys fresh from public school, all very anxious to prove themselves and show superiority.
Mom, this house has been commandeered in the name of the Irish Republic. Daniel? What's your calculor? You think brand new ma?
Tommy calculor.
Mahu. Problem should have pushed on. Right, lads. Stop barricading the doors and windows.
Dordy Reynolds doing troscan a chur ag chola finneog, ach I gwi nach dorhi fujara e. Jini shachun go raibh poblacht fógria, agus riméid of a harin three son.
All right, boys, come on, let's get this done. Straight end in, yeah? Come on, you're not in your mommy's house now. Get it together.
In Nija Kujeg, hui me Canada, agus chlóri made in Canadian Territorial Regiment, hun tahi militol. Trace chimpa 3V, honig ganivri sasna huig malostin, ag gen of Fistruchan. Vies congreshit aerosuk film. An ihe shin, ag fágam of agast agus ma chola arm mi yig, dog me chun dola wale. Ag taugal lo ma rifle Lee Enfield.
All right, boys, come on, let's get this done.
Seamus Grace and Michael Malone were two working class men. Friends for many years before, but also, if you take a look at Lieutenant Michael Malone, he was a carpenter at the time.
Lads, that's great.
And was very unusual for the Irish Volunteers to have tradesmen as officers. Most of the officers and leadership would have been from the professional background.
Among the volunteers who mobilised on Dublin's north side were two brothers, Frank and Jack Casualties.
A good number of the local residents, especially those who had relatives fighting for England in the European War, were very antagonistic towards us. And their womenfolk, especially, made the fight none the easier.
Why don't you fight the bloody Hun?
Nice to see we have some support here, Jack.
I mean, the volunteers saw themselves as freeing these people. It's what they obviously intended ultimately to do, to free them and improve their lot. But the immediate reaction, of course, is that they put barricades up, that you couldn't get through to get food, you couldn't get to the shops, you couldn't get to work. The reaction, of course, from the people would not have been good.
They love us here, sir.
That they do. Still, hard to expect anything else when most of them have loved ones waiting to die in some trench in France. Jack or a he's or her stoken. Frank?
Sir.
I want you up on the roof of the Jemison Malt House. You should have a good field of fire from up there. Make sure the Tommies keep their heads down.
Yes, sir.
Well, lads. Jack, you're to come with me. Vice Commandant Beasley's identified an old pub in the corner of North King Street with a commanding view of this junction. I want you and your men to garrison it. You need to hold that position for as long as possible.
Yes, sir.
British attack should come from this direction. Vital that we hold this position.
The Irish volunteers prepared their defences, evicting ordinary Dubliners from their homes. Long-time residents of North King Street, Sarah Hughes and her husband Michael, opened their doors to their neighbours. Families have become refugees in their own community.
On Tuesday, the 25th of April, I was turned out of me house by the Sinn Féiners. Me husband and I and our children went out and took refuge at number 172 North King Street, Sarah Hughes' house.
Where Daddy was involved was at North King Street at Riley's Fort, as it was called. It was a strong point at the intersection of North King Street and Church Street.
Remember, you gotta see them, but don't let them see you.
Pierce Beasley was the next in command of the Four Courts garrison under Ned Daly.
You're shooting from here. I want to block that off there, okay? That's it, more stuff. Bring it in.
Pierce was Daddy's immediate officer in charge.
Come in, okay? You don't want smash glass going into your eyes.
Ag cúine na sráide. Bhí títorne agus an tanam Riley ó Rahilí os cion na finneoga. Bhí ná dúnta agus cólan ar na finneoga. Áit anhabhachtach a bay.
Take that down from the window. You can't see out there. Block it up nice and tight. More, even more stuff there. That's it, lads. You did a great job.
Fuair Shelver ar náid agus dá na buachlaí go deireann an seachtain. Bhí cá fuilteach fíoch for a siúltín beláide sin. Og na buachlaí Riley's Fort. Dóní Rahilí ar an dig.
Emanating from Riley's Fort were a series of barricades down Church Street, North King Street and Constitution Hill. These acted as strong points against any British assault. The old pub at the crossroads of King Street was the linchpin of Daly's garrison, commanding all the approaches to his headquarters in the Four Courts.
See all that area. That's it, more stuff. Bring it
From
up.
here, Pierce Beasley and Jack Shouldice would be responsible for holding back any British advance.
Good. Keep it going. You got it there, Jack. You got it? Yeah.
He can't see you and you can see him, yeah? Perfect.
Supporting them in the roof of the Jemison Malt House was Jack's brother Frank, a sniper with commanding views over the area.
At the end of Easter Monday, the 24th of April, the Irish volunteers had occupied a number of key buildings in Dublin City. The British military had been taken totally by surprise, but they regrouped very quickly. One of the reasons for this was because the Irish volunteers had failed to cut the phone lines, and they were able to call for help from two places. One was the Curragh in County Kildare, and the second was to England.
In the chaos and confusion of those first hours of the rising, as the British High Command awaited the arrival of reinforcements, ordinary soldiers often accidentally stumbled across volunteer positions.
Where the hell did he come from? Get him! Get that gun loaded! Get it loaded! Somebody bloody shoot him! He's gonna launch us!
Daddy came across a lance of the Lancer And he found it and he wedged it into a manhole at the intersection and tied a tricolour to the top of it. And that impromptu flag flew right through the whole week, right to the end of the fighting on the Easter Saturday.
Caught off guard and outnumbered by the rebels, the British High Command responded by rushing Irish regiments of the army based in the Curragh to Dublin.
When the rising did actually come about, they certainly didn't have the troop numbers available within Dublin at the time. They were quite worried about what might happen if the rebellion spread to other parts of the country, and it was a very real prospect. There was also the possibility and the worry that the rebellion could receive even support from Germany. So they had to react before it had the chance to become a much bigger problem.
By April, I was beginning to wonder whether the entire duration of the war was to be spent in English billets.
Sergeant Major, form the men up. That's live ammunition, men. Let's put the cigarettes out.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir.
C Company! Form up!
Then, at 2 a.m. on Easter Monday, 1916, we received our entrainment order. Half the battalion didn't believe it was real.
Attention!
The Vickers machine guns and the grenades are to remain here. What is needed are men, not weapons. Are your platoon ready?
No, sir. Most of the men don't even know how to load their rifles. Any idea where we're going? There were rumors we're being sent to France.
I might as well tell you, but keep it to yourself, mind. We're going to Ireland. Apparently there's been some trouble over there. I'm quite looking forward to it myself. My wife's Irish. I sent her and the kids back to Dublin when the Zeppelin raid started. Let's hope it's not all fighting and I get a chance to see them, eh?
I'm sure you will, sir.
Good luck, old chap.
Sergeant Major, prepare to entrain.
Form up!
Dietrichson himself was a barrister living in Nottingham, living very well in Nottingham. He had married an Irish girl, one of the Mitchells wine family from Dublin, also a very wealthy family. So they were two wealthy families together. And Dietrichson didn't hesitate when war broke out. He gave up his legal practice and joined the army and was commissioned into the Sherwood Foresters. By the time they came to Ireland, he was adjutant.
Recruited from the mines, factories and villages of the English Midlands, the men of the Sherwood Foresters had signed up to fight in France. In April 1916, these volunteers had been preparing for the coming summer offensive on the Somme.
Here, Fad. Where are we going?
No idea. Must be France, though. Fritz have probably got a big push on, and they needed Sherwood Foresters to come and save the day. Just like Robin Hood, eh?
Too nice.
All right, lads.
Where are we supposed to be going, Ben?
All right. We're too bloody early for this.
Someone says we're going to France.
Get the food there.
No one seemed to know where our destination was going to be, although there were several likely places. The troop trains were packed, and when we left Watford Station, everyone was cheering and waving flags. And that was it. The Sherwood Foresters. We were off to take part in our first serious engagement.
With British troops coming into Dublin from all directions, the city now was setting a course for destruction. It seemed as if the Irish volunteers were in a hopeless position.
Well, there was this imputation that the rising was in the nature of a kamikaze blood sacrifice. And this always irritated my father and Frank and their colleagues very much. They didn't see themselves as kamikazes. A close strategy had been developed in house-to-house fighting and barricades, protection, that kind of thing.
That's it, Frank. Put your back into it.
At the same time, there was a strategic plan. that there was an escape route up into Drumcondra and the North Circle Road and out through North County Dublin to County Meath. But of course, this was contingent on most of the country rising, the full volunteer strength, and also them having the German weapons.
In the months before the rising, envoys were sent to Germany to acquire arms from the imperial government. 2 weeks before the rebellion was due to begin, a ship left port with the weapons the conspirators so desperately needed. On April 21st, disaster struck. The Royal Navy intercepted the ship and its precious cargo. The rebel leadership were faced with a dilemma. Without the German guns, could they continue? The matter was taken out of their hands by the figurehead of the Irish Volunteers, Owen MacNeil.
He heard that the Odd, a ship laden with arms and ammunition, had been intercepted by the British Navy. Roger Casement had also been arrested as well, and he decided that the insurrection, which was planned for Easter Sunday, should be cancelled. And what he actually did was he sent a number of couriers around the country cancelling that mobilisation for Easter Sunday. But what was even worse, he actually printed it in the Sunday newspapers.
The leadership delayed the rising by 24 hours, but the damage had been done. In the confusion, only about 2,000 of the 13,000 Irish volunteers mobilised that Easter Monday, most of them in Dublin. The conspirators' plans had fallen apart.
Ní chance a gine héimeis. An chuid eile den tíar fós na bid lepacha. Ní léon gearmaní chun teach le muid a thorthal. Tá muid den hain. Ní lean an isteach ceist dáma. Speaking to Nori Huckus na Sastin ach trú a bheith sac a bachún. Bhálam Mícheál agus Paddy ó le bháile. Ní siad an séid éag fós. Cáid cuioinú ar go mairecha.
Níl unta gasúir. Seo le bháil iad.
Mícheál, Paddy. I'll take those. Okay, I have some urgent dispatches I need taken to the city.
Sir, we won't stay and fight.
We're ready for this.
I know he's there, lads. But we all have to obey orders, okay? Lad, good luck.
Héag na múchlaí nach raibh sa teachtartaí ach leisce chuirín do chuinál an guntuairt. Ag timpeall leanaí go dóir maidin, dag si trí fuinneog go bhí sa Jean, agus chuaigh siad thar cúpla Jean eile. Iad grúma go leor, mar bhí sé ráite leo gan fille.
Daniel Maher bocht. Bhí sé nuach sláinte le tamlan ús. A chuid néar go láite bhfuil sad.
Cantá talún. Daniel, how do you ceart go leor? Má bí búrtha. Tú cóta dom. Tú dom an cóta. Hey, Daniel. Let's lick the ski.
We're short on men as it is.
What use will he be in a fight?
An níhe sin, chus a cóta sivíalta Thar a chola arm agus dúirt Reynolds leis a go bháile agus a heachtarrás an rís nuair a bheith feabhas Níl sé riamh.
Facadú an irid orí a riomh, Bridget. He's a crease tá an car plód hello.
Tá lads agun trénal go má. No bheith fatí sir. Ní an finas as nig dearma go dó ar an tríd a curí siad suas.
Tásúla gom.
Will wet she's ní sgurd a go vecamid. Beidir gio im adolas.
An éitig méid dul síos gléiste mar seo. An éitig.
Trugs mé na stocha. Rocky mé síos lan féin. Cumad súlamach agus bula mé lech an seo a gian óra clig.
Bonjour, madame.
Enjoy yourself. Bernard, do you think you are?
Do you idiots not know you're in Ireland? The Paddies have started a rebellion. Now, the good news is you've got a lovely long march into the city. Now, get to it. We're moving on. I'm sorry, miss. You're going to have to clear her off. This is a restricted area.
No problem, Sergeant. I'm always happy to help.
God, I hate this sitting around.
Patience, Seamus. We'll be in action soon enough. Here. An Cardiff, they're shin gone small.
Yeah, for go run the go road go fin garchin.
But what's their Cardi, mate, throw them hail? Be mega mahaga fresh. One more which sneed org to couple of douche
Current the wind to Sir Michael. Hey, she made at the Toggenworth. Near Larry for Tain Reeve. And we're cloning it.
The herny so gagum, Willie. Be mar an war like Halig fast nees. Listal mitch na hogli like Hale, needs like 3 egg. Railish na haintic the original Honigan home rulistach.
Ken Catland na holding in will she?
The Dublin Fusiliers.
Let's still shade shoot.
Let's talk. Dagger she Gleach Redmond. Dort she garoshe the Hulgus eg Aaron Tridgen and Hon. Cred sheet in our era gamach na sasni buich the weir she'd boss or son of Corona. Has me na eye a rawlish na bunch of beg and gugish in linne, van a glana machas or dear hain Aaron a hussant. If Willie can don a reef, this dal she reinos. Near lower militia yishin. Near Omegira ain wanch bagam lish. For she boss in Ura, Flanders. Doortje, nach runnem ach Amadon, ik takelish na hogli. Geniene she niks more on the hair and ik trid sa rank.
Seamus!
We have company.
Seamus! Seamus, the talk to Gogwindit.
Michael, show him a gripper Bridget agus May Cullen. Version the Buenos Fiar Gum and Amanda walk through Reeve.
Yen han roirt and Murtagi she mahastainia. Chemis grow jam with Jane Torrey.
I couldn't sedate me darm with the universe.
Tandur's tussy blockouting. Agus he failed in Shiva Lake to Jack. Curly Chuck to Muscle Litcher.
Tá na sasannig a teacht. Tá si de dear a Kingstown. Tá na mílta a coeln.
Come on, up to Nolas. I'll be bored her. I'm a drag up.
Fun! Seamus' store, and Annam Day tore our the theme.
I'll be grand.
English troops continued arriving into Dublin. By midday Wednesday, 12,000 soldiers had landed. The noose was tightening on the rebels.
British Army, they were able to mobilise troops extremely quickly to get them actually into Ireland and on the ground. A 2-day turnaround is amazing. It was only the Monday afternoon that General Sandbach had actually received his orders, and then to actually have his men ready and to get them to Ireland so quickly was quite extraordinary.
Most of the rank and file were pretty raw soldiers, and they came very ill prepared. I think it was pretty careless of the British High Command to throw in such untrained troops, because if they didn't know then, they quickly found out that the rebels which they were going to face were not ill-trained and were in fact very skilled and on home ground and were pretty effective.
The rebels are preparing to oppose our troop movements from Kingstown to Dublin. You will advance in 2 parallel columns. The 5th and 6th Battalion of Foresters will advance inland along this road here. The right comprising the 7th and 8th Battalion of Foresters, will follow the coast road inland through Balls Bridge, cross here at Mount Street Bridge. The destination in both cases will be Army HQ at the Royal Hospital in Kilmainham. Didrikson, I want you to command the lead company into the city. You will disperse your platoons as follows. 1 in advance, 1 to clear the houses overlooking the road, 1 to deal with the side streets, 1 in support. Every house and side road will be searched and cleared. One more thing. We have received intelligence that the rebels have garrisoned a schoolhouse on Northumberland Road. I expect you will meet with some resistance from there. Fall in 10:30 a.m. Now, dismissed.
It was better for the British not to receive any intelligence at all, rather than receive the intelligence that the schoolhouse was occupied on Northumberland Road. Unknown to the Sherwood Foresters, the schoolhouse had been vacated on the Monday night. It was empty. This would cause major problems for the Sherwood Foresters because they believed that that building was occupied. They did not know that 3 other buildings on that street and on the bridge had been occupied by Lieutenant Michael Malone and his men.
The Sherwood Foresters marched to St. Stephen's Schoolhouse, took them up the broad expanse of Northumberland Road and into the path of 3 volunteer garrisons, which were situated in St. Stephen's Parochial Hall, 25 Northumberland Road, and in Clanwilliam House across Mount Street Bridge. The Parochial Hall would play a minor role in the fighting. At the centre of the coming battle was the now demolished Clanwilliam House, with its commanding views of the canal and the surrounding streets. 200 metres away was number 25 Northumberland Road, which sat in a crossroads that overlooked the main routes into the city. This leafy road would play a pivotal role in the rising.
Well, the whole Northumberland Road, Mount Street Bridge area was obviously an upper-class, middle to upper-class area. It was loyal to the Crown. You hear the stories of soldiers being greeted, being offered tea and refreshments, etc., as they were marching into Dublin. So, an area where they were welcomed.
It was a very fine spring day, and they marched from Kingstown along the coast road. The people who came out to meet them were delighted to see them. They were pressing upon them sandwiches and bananas and cups of tea. It's only when they reached Northumberland Road that they began to learn the true nature of Irish relations with the English.
My grandmother, because of the Zeppelin bombing of Nottingham, she decided to leave Nottingham at the time, and she decided to go back to her family in Blackrock. She had heard that the British troops were in Dublin, so she went to support them as they walked through the streets. And absolutely by chance, she noticed that her husband was there.
Freddie! 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 Say hello to your daddy.
At you, soldier. How did you know we were in Ireland?
We heard the regiment had landed, so we came down hoping to see you.
I'm glad you did. When this whole business is over, I'll spend some time with you and the children. I can't imagine they'll send us back to Watford straight away. Are you being good children for Mummy?
They are.
And how are you coping?
I'm fine. Do be careful, Freddie. I love you.
Oh, I don't think we'll see much action. I'm pretty sure it'll all blow over soon. I better not get left behind. I love you too.
Biggie rig, lads. Ná squeal, go closig sib uimse.
Christ on a middle Macawan.
If they didn't know, they ought to have known that they were marching onto well-entrenched rebels, well-armed rebels, well-trained rebels, who were going to give them a hell of a fight.
Get up, you sissy dogs! Where's that bloody firing coming from?
Window! To the right!
That one up there!
When we were young children, I got two sisters, my mother would often talk about it and tell us what had happened and how she remembered standing there, seeing him walking past, and the great excitement of my grandmother meeting him, and then the terror of the fact that she never saw him again afterwards.
In the first volley of shots, 12 Sherwood Foresters were hit and collapsed on the road. They couldn't believe that they were under fire, under attack in Dublin city.
Bhí marúil ar na tummies. Ní raibh isciú carvas around a pillar ag seacht. Agus bhí a chuid marúil bhá bhéadú.
Good luck, old chap. Let's go, man.
Hold on, watch the roof, watch the walls, watch the road, watch the window. Keep moving!
Bhí sealamh acu ag gach teach a bhí ag point blank range. Agus an sin tháinig siad níos ciúr dún. Bhí orm ri ó inneog go foinneog ag géir a scuile low.
It was a baptism of fire, all right. Over 100 casualties is a terrible loss to one battalion. The more so since my one friend from the ranks, William Hawkin, who was commissioned on the same day as myself, was shot through the head on his first day of active service. It was my job to write and tell his mother, who thought him still safe in England.
To be fair, when the nurses appeared on the canal side and started tending the soldiers, the rebels held off their fire. Not always, but most times they held off their fire, and so did the soldiers. There was a kind of ceasefire to allow the nurses to attend the wounded. And there was a lot of wounded, and a lot of dead, and a lot of blood.
We advanced in rushes, taking cover where we could. Bullets were flying all around us.
Not with one arm machine gun china. No touch it in a sludge and a sludge.
It was 5 p.m. when the order to advance came through.
Fun. Squeal!
The fire we were under at times was terrific. Bullets were just coming down like hailstones.
Our men are facing stiff resistance and the advance has stalled.
You must press home direct frontal assaults until you overwhelm the rebel garrison.
But, sir, pressing forward is suicidal.
Bhí orintha go raibh an tread. Cho fíochmhar. Téann raibh me an faoise bháil. Ón bhatias. All our gyros tuile rush.
Mar sí saile, chunnig mé Paddy Doyle agus Dick Murphy ina lí Marv.
Lads, good luck. The feds going in with a lay in it. Fast, floor! So over Swincha took the Tommies.
Dog my Reynolds book in an Orlor. Il lochon fulla. Tom Walsh a Lee Tivlesh. Agus me gélu. Vi man an na saidri o chlustal. Ag lura agus ag celura tivum we in Mount Street.
I mean, this was the first time they'd ever fought. And it was their last. It just made us really determined to wipe out these heartless wretches and take revenge for our boys.
Get your kit together, we're moving out. They're sending us to the other side of the city. A place called North King Street.
Finally, you take the fight to them.